just like appreciating music or appreciating dance or appreciating, visual art. Everybody should learn, how important art is for the world, how art does change the world. In your history class, they gloss over the fact that everything in history happened because it was first written, sung, painted, and like Socrates said, right? Show me the songs of a land and I'll show you her laws. It always is first showing up in the arts before it actually occurs. And so art is very powerful. It really, truly does change the world.
Good afternoon. Hello. Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. It's so great to meet you here on Zoom.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
You've got one of your lovely paintings in the background, I see.
Yeah, I'm in my studio.
Oh, wonderful. Beautiful. Oh, I saw your work on your website, and amazing. I mean, and the colors that you are using is so beautiful.
Oh, thank you very much.
But first, I want to say that there's a quote on your homepage, a quote by you, which I find so lovely.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, tell me about this quote. What is this almost how you want to live your life, or?
Yeah, I haven't looked at it in a while, but the one about passion and to live with purpose and step into your destiny wholeheartedly, and yeah,
absolutely, yeah. No, it really I really like it, and I wrote it down. I think it's a good quote to inspire you on a daily basis. But you've got a beautiful story. I read that you you can tell the story how you started painting.
Yeah. Well, I started painting when I was a teenager, when I was 15. And so you want me to just tell the story?
Yeah, because I read that you didn't actually paint or draw, and that then suddenly you realized that you could. Was it a somebody who made a speech about right brain? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So Betty Edwards, she wrote Drawing from the Right Side of the Brain. It's a really well-known book, and it had only been published a few years. And I guess she was doing like a book tour or something like that. And our school had a big endowment for the arts. So they paid for her to come and do a workshop. And I really wasn't interested in art. I didn't have any kind of background in art, and hadn't shown any signs of ability or aptitude or anything, other than my parents said when I was a kid I liked to color. That's about it. But what kid doesn't like to color, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, she came to the school and she was teaching all about right brain and how to activate your right brain, and took us through all these right brain exercises. And after that, just something turned on, and suddenly I could draw. And I did this drawing of Marilyn Monroe. And I went home and I showed it to my mom, and she was like, "Oh, you didn't draw that. I don't believe you. One of your friends drew that." And I was like, no, I drew it. I just learned. And she didn't believe me. So she was reading the newspaper. And so there was this like flashback to some composer. I don't know. There was some classical concert going on. And so there was a picture of an old composer, and she ripped it out and handed it to me. And she said, "Well, if you can draw, go draw this guy." And so I went in my room and I drew it for her, and I brought it back, and she was amazed. And then she believed me. So
but what?
Yeah, it just was a right brain thing,
Yeah, but when I read this, I thought to myself, you know what? It's with me, it's the same thing. I think also, as a child, you stopped drawing, and I spoke to somebody the other day also and said, why do we stop drawing, or why why is it that children that express themselves through art when you're young, but then suddenly you stop drawing? And there must be many people like you who could have, if it was the right inspiration, who could have also start painting or drawing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's school.
Yeah.
I mean, school kills the imagination, and they really endeavor to muscle up your left brain. Everything's about, there's one right answer, multiple choice questions, true or false. You do everything alone. You're not taught to really collaborate. And it's like everything that's a right brain activity or intuition or abstract thought or, but school's like, be quiet, don't talk, stay in your seat, do what the teacher says, and it doesn't make us, I don't know, individual thinking people or entrepreneurs or artists for sure. And so I was one of those people that had a big old left brain and, a teeny tiny right brain. And something happened, where I didn't know how to see. And what that workshop taught me is how to break down form and shape, and to really be able to see it. And instead of, drawing an eye, symbolically, like, oh, an eye looks like this, it was, really look at it and look at the shapes, look at the way the light and the shadows are creating form there. And just somebody just telling me that, and then really looking is, was everything. And so I think in our school, because I was one of those people that wasn't raised with it, didn't have an innate talent. I learned everything. I believe anybody can learn to draw. Anybody can learn to paint. Anybody can learn to create art. So, that's kind of like the backbone of our school, and what we tell artists.
But now, when you realized this and when you started drawing, did you then go to do some art classes, or how?
Oh, yeah.
How did you did? Okay.
Yeah, I went to, that happened when I was about 15. And so I picked up painting and did it, whenever I could, on my own. And then I went to Savannah College of Art and Design and went there for 2 years. And then I transferred to University of Georgia. So I graduated with a BFA in painting.
Okay. And how much of this education do you think was needed, or did you then start developing your own style and doing your own thing? Was that sort of the basis for you, the education?
No, I would say at Savannah College of Art and Design, I learned a little bit. I mean, I learned more about drawing. I learned a little bit about oil painting, and because I hadn't oil painted up to that point, only acrylics. So that's where I learned a little bit about oil painting. And then when I transferred to University of Georgia, they just, I don't know, all the professors would just, have a lot of cigarette breaks. They were trying to date the girls. They just were playing around. I mean, they didn't like actually teach. We had critiques, but they never really taught, anything. It was, and I definitely didn't know my voice. I didn't have a style. I just, did my best. And when I graduated, I was really fortunate to get a job in the decorative art market. And that's really where I learned everything. I can't say I didn't learn anything in college, but it wasn't really, what I could apply as a professional artist. And they taught me a lot of bad things, that don't even try to make it as an artist. You can't, nobody makes it as an artist. Make art for art's sake, and almost ingrain this sort of art school elitism to making anything pretty or beautiful or decorative was so, beneath us and, not real art. And they called it couch art. And so I went into the couch art industry and learned all about, decorative art and what sells and what doesn't sell, and a lot of techniques, and realized collectors want something beautiful. They don't want something negative, ugly, reactive, elitist, that they can't relate to. They need it explained to them in order to understand it, or something like that. People who actually buy art just want something they connect with, that they find beautiful and they want to live with.
Oh, I totally agree. And I've spoken to a few artists also who developed their own style, who found their own way by themselves. And I remember also speaking to David Griesel, and he said that he does a lot of fantasy type of drawings and things, and he said that was not acceptable when he studied. They didn't accept that, so he left university and he kept doing what he loved doing. And so this is very interesting for me, that artists get to that point where you say, okay, no, look, this is not for me, this is what I do, and this is how I express myself.
Mm-hmm.
But so what I also love what you're doing is your academy. The Milan Art Institute.
Yeah.
Now tell me, how did that start?
It's really wild. When I was in college, my dad really wanted me to marry like a doctor, lawyer, engineer type that would take care of me, because I was going into art, and he was worried, I don't know, I wouldn't make it. So when he found out that I was going to marry another artist, he kind of freaked out a little bit, and he encouraged me to get a teaching certificate. I didn't want an art education degree because I really wanted to go far in art. And so he agreed to pay for one more year of college for me to get a teaching certificate. And I went to the first education class 101 and listened to the teacher. And he was basically saying, if this is your fallback career because you think you can't make it in the field that you want to go into, drop the class. If you have really strong political views or spiritual views, you're opinionated in any way, you're not going to make it. Get out of the education field. And he said, if you're here because you want your summers off to do what you really want to do, get out. And I was like, he's talking to me. That's exactly why I'm here. So I dropped the class and I told my dad, sorry, I'm not doing it. I would probably get fired. I'm not going to make it as a teacher. And so I kind of left that. And but when I was thinking about that as a career path, I was thinking, yeah, that would be kind of cool to teach like high school or college level art class. Like I could get into that. And that's really the only time I thought about it in my entire life, was way back when I was 25 years old or 23 years old. And so as we were making it, my husband and I, in the art world, and earning a good living and selling a lot of art, we would have artists all along the way, constantly asking us, how did we do it? How are we able to do it? Could we help them? And we tried to help them, but it was like their art wasn't quite there. They either needed more skill, or they needed, to tweak some things because it wasn't quite sellable. And so it was too hard to like slow down and sit there and really teach somebody. I worked with a few artists where they would come in and apprentice with us, or, I would give them critiques or some help or some tips. But we were really working hard at our own career. So it was hard to slow down to do that. And so in 2008, as you know, I think it was pretty much worldwide. We had that big crash where the economy pretty much collapsed. And we were working with a dealer at the time, and all our eggs were in one basket. So when this dealer, had a major financial issue because of the crash, and basically the galleries would stop paying him, because he would buy our art from us, and then he would wait for it to sell in a gallery, and then when it would sell in the gallery is supposed to pay him on 30-day terms, but they weren't doing it because they were having financial issues. So it was just sort of this financial breakdown. So he told us, I can't buy any more art from you guys. And that was like our sole source of income at the time. So we went out like really hustling over the next 2 years, working directly with galleries. We did New York Art Expo. We really tried to diversify. And I took a few gigs here and there, teaching, just to kind of make ends meet while we were in this transition period. And I realized I really loved teaching. And I loved being able to help artists. And even though it wasn't like the best time to help artists, right, when things were slow, but anyway, through all of that, we ended up moving to this property, and there was this huge, like 2,000 square foot multi-purpose building on the property. And I was thinking, oh, that's like my dream studio. And really, I believe God just interrupted the plan of this being my studio. And I feel like it came from God. Like it wasn't really my idea. And I was supposed to open this art school. I just felt like that was my purpose and what I was supposed to do. And everything just really came together, and it was really clear that that's what I was supposed to do. So yeah, in 2010, we opened the school, and we, for many years were balancing, working with all kinds of dealers and galleries and everything, selling our art, and building the school. And then I would say in 2016, 17, we went out on our own. We still work with a few galleries, but we mostly just sell artwork ourselves straight to collectors. And that's really like freed us up to, do whatever we want. So that's kind of our path and how how the school came about. And
I when I read that, I thought, perfect that you opened the school, because you understand also how to start painting, or you understand really the process, and that there's no such thing as you can't paint or you're not able to. So amazing, that you can see potential, you can motivate somebody to paint.
Yeah, for sure. Because if anybody tells me, oh, I don't have the talent, I'm not able to paint, I'm like, yeah, me neither. I learned everything. So,
and I see you also do courses for like high school age children, and I think how amazing, because that's actually a time where somebody can really take this up and really, and also I believe that the more children do different forms of art, the more they are able to express themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really a time, I was pretty involved in the project, but my kids actually, as they were teenagers and selling their art and really finding their voice and going through it, they're the ones that teach the course. So yeah, I think that's very unique, is that they're learning from people their own age potentially. And so I don't actually teach anything in that course, but I helped produce it. And so it's a great age because in that sort of 10 years old till 18, there's so many things forming, and it's such a time where most kids are super insecure and they have a lot of self-doubts, and they're really open and looking for, purpose and destiny and why am I here? And sadly, if they come to the conclusion that there's no reason why they're here, and there is no purpose for me, I'm not special, I'm not significant, I don't have value, they get depressed or turn to other things or kind of go on a bad path, or settle into a safe career choice that will, they think, bring the money.
Yeah.
And so that's the whole point of it. Even if they don't go into art, to just ignite that question, that curiosity. Maybe I'm here for a reason. Maybe there's purpose to my life. Maybe I'm going to change the world. What is it, I can do? And I think giving young people a skill that most people don't have, like drawing, like painting, like creating. Same thing with music or, any other skill, right? Mm-hmm. I think it builds confidence. It's like, I can do something most people can't do. Even though if anybody put time into it, they could do it. But still, having a skill, I think, builds confidence,
Exactly, yeah. And this is actually also why I think that it's so important that schools really do have art as a subject alongside maths and science and languages, that art should be seen as important as these subjects. And I did a project here in Vienna over lockdown where I photographed 500 artists in their windows. And during this time, and talking to them during this period, the conclusion that I got to was that art, all forms of art, you like you say, you have these skills by doing this art form, where this perseverance, self-motivation, confidence. I mean, you can name so many things that looking at life in a different way, that art brings, that studying art, studying music, studying dancing. And it's, for me, is so tragic, really, that schools don't acknowledge it.
Yeah, and it's getting worse. It seemed like they used to more. At least here in the States, it was like that. And they've just, like, I don't know, they're just constantly talking about budget cuts and how they have to cut this or that. But then you see the school boards, have plenty of money. So I don't know. I don't necessarily believe the budget cut story, but it's definitely been kind of taken out of the curriculum, and there isn't a big importance on it. You have to go to a special art school in high school in order. My husband went to one of those. It's they focused on all the arts, and you kind of picked your path if you were going into visual art or dance or music. And so all of his friends in high school were some form of an artist, and that kind of school was great, but they're private. They're not public schools that everybody could go to.
But you sort of wish that every child
in
the world could have this opportunity. And I think
Absolutely.
it's also a misconception that you think you have to play an instrument, and then, if you play an instrument, you have to be a musician. But you can also play an instrument and
appreciate music.
Skills and appreciate music. And I think also during the lockdown, where we started questioning why art isn't valued, and I think this is the answer, is that why it can't be valued if if children are not educated and understand what it is, that they're appreciating. So I'm very much for the education of art in schools, and I really this was really, for me, very wonderful to read what you are doing, and that you have these programs, and that you believe that it's important.
Yeah, I think also, something that they really miss is everybody is an art collector.
Yeah.
Everyone. You don't
Mm.
have, it's not, art collecting should be something that is really taught. And, you just like appreciating music or appreciating dance or appreciating, visual art. Everybody should learn, how important art is for the world, how art does change the world. In your history class, they gloss over the fact that everything in history happened because it was first written, sung,
Yeah.
painted, in, like Socrates said, right? Show me the songs of a land and I'll show you her laws. It always is first showing up in the arts before it actually occurs. And so art is very powerful. It really truly does change the world. And that is not taught in school. So nobody, believes, everybody thinks math is the most important thing, but it's way further down, in culture in terms of what affects things. So art is always first. And if people were taught, if children were taught that at some point, you know, the greatest form of appreciation of art and your contribution to culture and to changing the world can be expressed in buying art, living with it around you, sharing it with others, that would be huge. And unfortunately, adults feel like, okay, I have to have an education in art. I have to have money. I have to be high class, to collect art. And it's just not true. Everybody's an art collector. And there's art to appreciate and buy at every level.
But
So
I spoke to musicians who revived the lyra, the ancient lyra
yeah,
in
I'm
Greece.
Greek, so I know all about that. Yeah.
Do you? And he actually said to me that in ancient Greece, if you couldn't play the lyra, you were seen as uneducated, and children took their lyra to school.
Oh,
Every child had a lyra, and I thought, amazing. Do you think
yeah.
that they saw it as so important?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
super cool.
But I think it's also I hear what you're saying. It's all this misconception that everything has to be on this extreme level to be able to be appreciated. But I do
Right.
think, I remember as a child, my parents and their friends, when they got together, they would there was always somebody who played the piano and they would sing. And this is something that it was very informal and it was not perfect and not everybody could sing well, but it's that way of coming together. And you hear that also when I speak to conductors and musicians, where they talk about the orchestra and what this coming together of people with the same idea and the same sort of outlook, and how that creates such a unity. And I think this is what art does.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now I want to talk about your paintings also. I see you paint a lot of animals.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that. Is this something? Is this the theme for you? What is it about the animals?
Yeah, I paint animals because I paint symbols. So to me, animals have an easier than people, I think, way to carry a symbol. Because for me, I just look at the attributes of the animal, and whatever its function is or its attributes, that's the symbol it carries. So you know like an eagle has, eyesight that they can see far distances, and they soar up, in the heights. So, that tells you what it symbolizes, vision. So I think that's why I like to paint animals, because they and a multifaceted, sort of symbol. It can change painting to painting. I mean, a bear could symbolize protection. It could symbolize motherhood. It could symbolize leadership. It could symbolize generational things. So there's so many things that and I'm really into dream symbols and dream interpretation and those types of things. And so I like to paint things before I really know what they're about. Yeah, so I don't have like a plan, or I have a plan, but I don't know why I'm painting what I'm painting. It's just something that I'm attracted to, or oh yeah, I'd like to paint, it's like an aesthetic drive. But then after I've sort of put these images together, then as I'm painting it, I'm trying to interpret it or understand, why did I paint that? And sort of interpret the symbols, and then, just like the collector, form my own story. So yeah, they're very open-ended, and I don't have something in mind before I'm painting it usually. And
so when you stand in front of the blank canvas, do you see an animal in your mind, or do you, what is the starting point for you when you stand in front of the canvas?
Yeah, well, I like to work in series. So usually, like I did a unicorn series, and I painted 5 unicorns. And so I kind of set out to do that because I noticed this sort of progression where I painted horses for many, many years. And then it sort of turned into Pegasus. And I didn't know why. In fact, I really resisted it. I hated the idea that these horses became something mythological and not real, and I really resisted it. But it just sort of forced itself in there, and then I realized why I was painting the Pegasus, why the horses now had wings, and when I connected why I was doing it, then it was like, oh wow, that's so amazing. And then I wanted to paint, Pegasus more. And so I did that for many years. And then it became unicorns. And so, and it has this whole like long story. So I think that the art I create isn't out of a vacuum, where I'm looking at a blank white canvas trying to figure out what to paint. It's always this sort of creative river that you just follow the thread, and one idea kind of leads to the next idea, to the next idea, to the next idea. And I have so many ideas written down in series I want to do. Yeah, and they're written down, and then if it lasts a long time and I still really want to paint them, then I know it's probably something I'm supposed to do. And so yeah, and it's different each time. Sometimes most of the time I start with the plan. I make a source. I gather source materials. I know exactly what I'm going to do on that blank white canvas. But then sometimes I just get sick of myself and all that planning and all that, it gets boring, and I just want to challenge myself and just see what happens. And so then I'll just paint intuitively. And then that's when I'll see an animal. That's when the Pegasus came out. I was in that mode where I was just sick of myself, and I just did an abstract painting, and it was just kind of seeing, where is it going to go? And all of a sudden I saw this Pegasus as clear as anything else. I mean, I saw the wings, and the whole thing just appeared. And I was like, I don't want to paint a Pegasus. That's like fantasy stuff, maybe my old art school voice came back. I don't know. And so I resisted it. But then once I accepted it and I pushed through and made the connection of why that showed up, then it was great. So.
But now, can you look back at all your paintings and then see your state of mind, or or a period in your life? Is it almost like journaling?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Is that how it is for you? It seems like it would be.
Well, for my photography, I can clearly see, and my state of mind, and yeah, I do. But I was thinking now when you said that you sort of go with the feeling, or you go with what you want, in what you see then in that moment, then it must be that type of thing that you look back on.
Yeah. I think like most artists, there's these creative cycles, and you start with something like a breakthrough, you have some kind of breakthrough, and then you run with that for a while. And then naturally boredom kind of kicks in, and you get tired of it. And then the idea, you kind of go into this crisis mode where you don't know what you want to paint anymore, and you don't like anything you do. And
I'm glad you say that.
yeah, I think it's
it was
very
just
normal.
me. Yeah.
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 And I feel like those are transition times where your taste level is sort of elevating a bit, and that's why you don't like what you're doing anymore, and you're not excited about it. It's kind of ran its course, and there's something coming, but you can't quite see it yet, so it's frustrating. And I found the fastest way to get here is just keep painting, just keep creating. And even if they're bad, even if you make terrible stuff, just keep painting. And sure enough, a breakthrough will happen for sure. And then you're on to the next thing. And that's how you evolve. That's how you get, better and better, and keep pushing yourself and stretching your boundaries, and, working towards something, I think, instead of just repeating,
Exactly. I had this, or I have this idea that we go through these periods, and then it's almost like when you're pregnant with a baby, then there's this, sometimes, in the beginning, it's this excitement, and you're preparing, and you have all these ideas, and then there comes a time in the pregnancy where it's sort of, you're tired, and you sleep a lot, and you can't wait now for the time to come. And then there's this last phase where you really get this energy, and you nest, like you prepare everything, and then it's the birth. And I can see sometimes in my life, also in times where I do something, where I can see this pattern, this excitement phase, and then this and then this nesting phase again, and then suddenly something miraculous happens, and it's like this, wow, something new comes up. So I always think when I'm at that stage where I'm sort of, then I think, okay, but the exciting part will come, or the nesting part will
That's
come.
great.
Yeah. But now tell me, Elli, what is the wishes? What are the wishes for you for the future? I know it sounds cliche, but I love when people express their wishes on the channel, because I think I've had so many people whose wishes came true. So I do believe if we express it, then it will come true.
Yeah. I have so many dreams for the future. I would say personally, on a personal level, I really want to own land in Greece. I want to be able to, buy a house, buy a piece of property in Greece, and sort of reclaim what was sort of lost in my family, and kind of bring some restoration there. So that's one thing on a personal level. But for my career and what we're building with the school, we're doing all kinds of new things, and we have so many plans that are in motion. And I think the main thing that we're really in the beginning stages of developing is this sort of patronage side. So, in the school, we've been really passionate about helping artists and empowering artists to make a living selling their art. And now we have a ton of artists that have graduated the program that are really doing that. And they are, full-time in their careers. And so we really want to also pioneer sort of new ways to buy art, new ways to sell art that are kind of outside of the normal, traditional methods. And we have a lot of ideas for that. And we're, in the process of building a platform for it. I'm not sure if you know, but we've built our own social media called Art Social. And so we've built it from scratch. We own and control the whole thing. It's not on somebody else's platform. We built the platform with software engineers and all that. And so that is right now mostly artists are on there, but we are starting to run auctions, and we're creating funnels for art collectors to go on there and participate in these auctions and experiences and connect with other artists. So that is something we're just starting, and we'll be developing over the next few years in lots of different ways. And so yeah, we're fully invested in Art Social and making that just be the ultimate place for everyone, because everybody's an art collector, and a few people are artists. So it's really a place where everybody can connect. And just like we've really our message is really to help artists understand that they have purpose and a destiny in art and a real calling, in art. I want collectors to know that there's purpose in patronage. There's purpose in buying art and collecting art and supporting the arts and connecting with other artists and really giving value to what they do and allowing what they create to bring value to your own life. And I believe art can serve as, a portal in their own life to open up avenues, open up opportunities, open up roads for them to go. So it's a really I think important thing, and we want to, just like what we've done with the art school, we want to educate or inspire people that they're an art collector. And it doesn't mean that they have to have a ton of money. They can collect art, even if you buy a print, even if you buy a T-shirt, that an artist designed. You're supporting the arts. You're a part of that whole ecosystem. So, so yeah, that's our main dream or idea that we're working on.
But what an amazing idea, because I was just thinking now, not long ago, I spoke to a young artist who said this thing of, he doesn't have a name, so it's difficult to get into a gallery, his work into a gallery, and he's not this person, and so he can't charge this amount for his work. And you think that now you open up the door for all artists to come in and get their work out there and get their work seen, because that's so important. I mean, it's not only the ones who have a name that needs to sell their work.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think, because, in that gallery system, there's a lot of artists that aren't very good, but somehow they, got in with a gallery. And then there's artists that are, really skilled, really good, have, something tremendous to say, but they're not in the gallery. And these galleries, are, a lot of them are sort of the gatekeepers of, who are they going to put their stamp of approval on? And I think the real true test as to, who can professionally sell their art is the people who've put passion into it and work and effort and built their skills, have devoted themselves to it. It's just like anything else. I can't go do a TED talk, let's say, if I haven't devoted myself to my message, or I haven't really fully fleshed out something. You can't expect somebody to read your book if you haven't really worked at it and edited, gone through all these edits and made it something, really good. You can't just take a snapshot with no experience, you haven't, worked at your skill at all, and just expect people to, buy your photograph or license your photograph. You have to work at it. You have to devote yourself to it. And it takes time, and it takes maturity, and it takes hard work to really passionately devote yourself to what it is you're doing. And that's what, to me, determines, if you're ready for the market, or you're ready for people to buy your art. Because if you're just playing around and, I don't know, throwing some paint on a canvas and saying, oh yeah, I'm an artist. It's like, well, you're starting to be an artist, but you really need to commit and be devoted to it. It's not just a silly little hobby, And
Yeah.
so, and I don't think that's gatekeeping. I think that's just like being a professional, and a professional is going to spend a lot of time devoted to what it is they do, constantly pushing themselves, pushing the boundaries, bringing out the best in themselves in whatever it is they're doing.
And I also believe these things have an energy, that you can see or you can sense from people also, who, what they've put in or what they are trying to say through their work. So, yeah, that's absolutely true what you're saying.
Yeah.
But Elli, this was so lovely talking to you. So great. I admire you so much for all your work, for how you started, how you continuously, pursue your career as an artist, and also that you're giving back and that you see the need to help young artists as well. And I love this program where people can come and not just learn to paint or to express themselves, but also that you help them further to sell their work, because that's also a part where you, if somebody can just help you or motivate you or just put you in the right direction, I think for any artist that is such an amazing thing that you're giving. So really, I admire your work.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you so much for reaching out. This was so lovely to talk to you. And I hope that one day we can meet in person.
Yeah, that would be great.
So whenever you come to Vienna, have you been?
I haven't been. I've never been to Austria, actually. I've been to Germany, Switzerland, Italy. Seems like I've gone all around. I've been to Czech Republic. But yeah, I've not, I know Vienna is not too far from Czech Republic.
So you can come and open a Milan Art Institute here in Vienna.
That would be fun.
That'd be amazing, yeah. So, but have a lovely afternoon.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. I appreciate it very much.
And hope to see you soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.